this is an iHeart podcast.
You know that feeling when you're about to score 30% off, but they want your number? Ugh. Give them your Line 2 number instead. It's a second line on your phone, perfect for nabbing promo codes without inviting spam to your party. Sign up for every discount under the sun, then block the junk texts that follow. You get all the perks, but none of the spammy baggage. More codes, less chaos. Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store and get your shopping sidekick today. Because the only thing blowing up your phone should be good deals.
And will not allow ICE to arrest criminal aliens in New York City. Your message to communist Zorhan Mandami.
Well, then we'll have to arrest him. Look, we don't need a communist in this country, but if we have one, I'm going to be watching over him very carefully on behalf of the nation.
You're listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson.
Good Thursday morning. So nice to have you with us on the 47 Morning Update. And here are the two big stories coming out of the White House that you need to know about. First up, as you're listening right now, it may have become a reality that the White House has got the passage of Trump's big, beautiful bill out of the House after getting a massive victory in the Senate. As I'm recording this at basically 1 a.m. right now, the Speaker of the House is saying we're looking to get it done within hours. We'll have the details on that for you as well. Now, the president isn't done there when it comes to helping you, the American taxpayer. We also now know that the president's saying it's time for the Fed Chair, Jerome Powell, to be gone, to resign. And he's got 2 or 3 choices to replace the Fed chairman, which could save Americans literally trillions of dollars in interest. I'll give you those details in a moment. It's the 47 Morning Update, and it starts right now.
Story number 1.
I just got off the phone moments ago with people on Capitol Hill who are telling me that by the time you hear this, there's a very good chance that the big, beautiful bill will have already passed the House of Representatives. Now, I'm talking to you right now a little after midnight, and what I am being told is that the Speaker says we're going to get it done, and that means that President Donald Trump can do what he wanted to do, sign this by July 4th. The White House saying they're closing in on the House passage of Trump's big, beautiful bill as well at this hour, as I just spoke with someone within the White House staff that says we are very close to this becoming a reality. The White House indicating that it is making major progress closing in on the president's top priority and getting it, quote, to his desk by Independence Day. We also know that Representative Ralph Norman, a Republican from South Carolina, had suggested, quote, that the White House is making progress closing the deal on the Trump-backed bill, saying, quote, the White House enlightened many Republican holdouts on how its implementation of the big, beautiful bill would accomplish what they want, but wouldn't give specifics moving forward, as they're trying to keep things quiet and not be fought within the media. Meredith Lee Hill, a congressional reporter also with Politico, is reporting the House Speaker Mike Johnson had stated that the House of Representatives was going to get the bill there, quote-unquote, tonight, adding that they were working on it and very, very positive about the progress that's being made. Representative Andy Harris, a Republican from Maryland, also indicated that it was, quote, a possibility that the House would still vote today on the bill. That, according to another congressional reporter for Punchbowl News. So you put all of this together, and what the reality now is that Trump could be within hours of having his big, beautiful bill passed after he successfully secured the Senate passage of the bill on Tuesday after an all-night amendment vote-a-rama which lasted a record 27 hours, something we covered on the show as well yesterday. We know that the president was thrilled to secure the Senate passage of the bill after that all-night amendment vote-a-rama, and he was happy that Vice President J.D. Vance was able to cast that tie-breaking vote in a victory for Trump that was, well, so close, but also so sweet and as good as it gets right now in Washington, D.C. So here we are at after midnight, and the reality is President Donald Trump is delivering on his biggest campaign promise to date. We also know this, that the president is also moving on to other major issues.
Now story number 2.
Donald Trump is calling for the Fed Chair Powell to quit, quote, immediately. Trump is ramping up the pressure on Powell, urging lower interest rates against the Federal Reserve Chair's continued opposition. The president making it clear that it's time for him to, quote, resign. In a Truth Social post on Wednesday in the late afternoon, Trump said too late, should resign immediately. He also linked to a Bloomberg story headline that says Fed Chair should be investigated by Congress. The FHSA head is now saying. Powell was nominated by Trump to lead the Fed during the first administration. Joe Biden, who succeeded Trump as president, nominated him for a second term. His tenure as the Fed chair is set to end May of 2026. And Trump is ramping up pressure, saying, I don't want to wait on Jerome Powell's tenure to end, issuing a call for lower interest rates against the Federal Reserve Chair and continued opposition, and calling out the failure of the Fed's monetary policy. For instance, earlier this week, Donald Trump posted this: Jerome Too Late Powell and his entire board should be ashamed of themselves for allowing this to happen in the United States of America. They have one of the easiest, yet most prestigious jobs in America, and they've failed, and they continue to do so. Saying this: if they were doing their job properly, our country would be saving trillions of dollars in interest costs. The board just sits there and watches, so they are equally to blame. We should be paying 1% interest or better. Now, the Post preceded Trump signing a letter to Powell urging him to lower interest rates. The White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt told reporters on Monday. Powell has stated that the Fed's decision to hold off on dropping your interest rates owes much to concern about the possible impacts of, quote, tariffs on inflation, that coming from CBS News. Now, reports say he's waiting to see how the Trump tariff policy, quote, plays out and what it ultimately does to the U.S. economy before making interest rate adjustments. Powell has specifically said he wants to see longer-term impacts, if any, on consumer pricing. So I tell you that story to just make it very clear. There could be some big changes coming very soon. But it also tells you about the confidence that the president has that by the time many of you hear this, he will already have the biggest tax cut that we've seen in our lifetime and turning it into a reality. So what does that mean moving forward? Well, it means we could see some pretty big changes here. The president even moving forward to say there are, quote, 2 or 3 choices to replace the Fed chairman, and saying on Tuesday, yes, I'm ready to go. When asked aboard Air Force One whether he has a top choice to succeed Jerome Powell, Trump said exactly this: I have 2 or 3 top choices. He declined to give any further information, yet again showing how much Donald Trump's ready to move on. We also know that the Wall Street Journal reported last week that Trump is considering the former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh and National Economic Council Director Kevin Hassett as replacements. Also, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is also being pitched as a potential candidate. That according to the Wall Street Journal, which also listed former World Bank president and Fed Governor Christopher Waller as potential nominees. Now, according to the Wall Street Journal, Trump has toyed with the idea of selecting and announcing a replacement as early as September or October. However, Bessent told Bloomberg TV on Monday that the Trump administration is considering using the next expected Federal Reserve Board of Governors vacancy in early 2026 to appoint a successor. Now, since returning to the White House in January, Trump has criticized Powell as well as other Fed governors for declining not to lower interest rates, which are currently in the 4.25 to 4.50 range. Fed chairs have long seen as insulated from presidential dismissal for reasons other than malfeasance or misconduct. But Trump has threatened to test the legal premise with frequent threats to fire Jerome Powell. Now, a Supreme Court ruling in May, by the way, eased concerns that Trump could fire Powell, as the justice called the Fed, quote, a uniquely structured quasi-private entity. So that leaves us at this point, where the president's clearly saying he believes Jerome Powell and his board are the wrong people for the job. and he wants to move as quickly as possible to move the country in the right direction. He also has made it clear that lower interest rates save you countless dollars in interest, something that's good, he believes, for the economy. So, if you want to know what's happening right now at the White House, it's pretty clear. The president's getting ready for a very big 4th of July celebration, and it's one that is going to give you a huge advantage in your pocketbook. And he's not done there. He's also now looking to lower interest rates for you as well. And that is exactly what the America First agenda that Donald Trump promised you looks like as we go into the 4th of July.
Thank you for listening to the 47 Morning Update with Ben Ferguson. Please make sure you hit subscribe wherever you're listening to this podcast right now. And for more in-depth news, also subscribe to the Ben Ferguson podcast, and we will see you back here tomorrow.
Some matches are temporary, but your privacy shouldn't be. With Line 2, you get a second phone line just for dating. No need to share your personal number until you're ready. You can chat, text, and even block numbers, all while keeping things fun and private. It's perfect for online dating, blind dates, or just keeping things light. When you're ready to move on, Line 2 lets you cut ties without any drama. Dating should be fun and carefree. Line 2 keeps it that way. Ready to date on your terms? Visit line2.com/audio or download Line 2 in the App Store today.
This is an iHeart podcast.